Boom. We're still playing with every week. Okay, cool. How is everybody doing? Happy Friday. I hope you're warm. My goodness. There's a lot going on for a Friday, y'all. So much happening. And one of the things that is happening right now is Tanner, my old dog, is over here snorting, rolling around, bearing his... You know how dogs do that thing where they put their head in the carpet and then they just roll along for about 10 feet? Oh, wow. Where that music is coming from. Did y'all hear that? I told you, man. Holy crap. Anyway, so that's one way to bury the dog noises is you just have music start playing. I don't think y'all even heard that, but I just got an earful in my head. Okay, so, oh my gosh, there's so many things to remember when I get started with this new system. All right, here's the chat, y'all. Have at it. Sorry about that. I have to always manual. It doesn't let me start it ahead of time. I'm sorry. Okay. All righty. So, big shout out to my buddy Wes. Again, genius Wes, helping out with all this stuff. Great graphic that he made there. Every one of these live streams, it's like a new element that we have that we can incorporate, and I'm just so grateful for all that he has done to help make this happen. Let's see. Yesterday, if you missed the deep dive, we talked with former FBI agent Steve Friend, and oh my gosh, third installment with Steve on FBI fails. So much was covered. He talks about how he spent a lot of time on how he would overhaul the FBI. Kash Patel, I hope you're listening. Great ideas with that. He talked about why child exploitation cases aren't something that law enforcement spends a lot of time on. It's tragic. It's interesting how he explains that. And I'm telling you, his answer for why the press was allowed into the New Orleans terrorist suspect's home 5 minutes after the attack is very interesting. Steve Friend, the episode, it's a Thursday deep dive, available at youtube.com/@the mic. It's also it's here somewhere floating around my timeline on X. And in fact, all of the episodes, I haven't put this one yet, shame on me. All the episodes are listed in the article that is pinned to the top of my profile at Keith Malinak, which that's another thing. I got to get my guests in here. I got to stop babbling so much. Let me get these guys in here. Awesome. See, our name vanished. You see that? I'm going to fix it. Stand by. Wow. See, that was one of the things I'm sitting here telling you guys, hey, make your name up there, and then I accidentally took them off. So stand by. Talk amongst yourselves while I fix this.
All that work. All that work.
There we go. So there's your name. So let's do that. Do this.
I remember who I am.
Okay. So it won't let me do just one of them. Interesting. All right. And so there's the handles. You got to follow these fellows at TPC4USA. That's Steve Baker, my coworker over at the Blaze, and Shem Von Shrek. His first visit here at the mic, at Shem Von Shrek. Hopefully you can see that and spell that. Now, it is Shrek, right? It's spelled SCHRO.
It is Shrek.
Okay.
It is Shrek. The actual German spelling didn't have the E, but had the umlaut O, so it's pronounced Shrek. But that sounds like you need... It sounds like you got like...
Well, it sounds like me right now. It sounds like
respiratory issues, yes.
Right. I'm coming off of a week of laryngitis. I actually was able to speak for the first time yesterday. So, yes, I can say...
Yeah. Well, that's good.
You know, I hope that voice is healed up before Monday, because I know you're going to be in D.C. covering the inauguration for the Blaze, and there's going to be a lot of shows that are going to want to talk to you. So rest up this weekend, bro.
Well, it was my last trip to D.C. for January 6th thing. I was there for 6 days, and it was traipsing through the snow every day. You know, we had that snowstorm, and I think it came in the evening or the Sunday night before the 6th. And so, you know, you pretty much walk everywhere once you're in the, you know, the mix there.
Yeah.
And it was, and often because of the snow, it was so bad that when you'd try to pull up an Uber, it would take longer for the Uber to get to you than it would to walk to where you were going in the snow. Dang. So I just walked everywhere for while I was there. And I think that's why this happened.
Well, I hope you're feeling better, though. I mean,
Yeah, I feel fine. I just
feel
can't-
fine. It's just a voice thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, good. So, Steve Baker, you've been on here. We've introduced you. And by the way, can I just say that I'm rooting for you on Monday. Being your J6 situation, dear God, please give the man a pardon. Hopefully, Donald Trump comes through with that. And then, of course, Shem Von Shrek. Tell us a little bit about your background, because Steve introduced you to us over at The Blaze a few weeks ago when you were in town in Dallas. It was so great getting to know you, man. Tell everybody, like, what do you do? Like, what's your deal when you wake up in the morning? What are you doing?
Oh, I'm a musician by trade. I've been fortunate enough to be able to work with and play with several Grammy award-winning artists on stage as a bass player, singer, music director in some cases. Was in Toto for a while, associated with Kenny Loggins for almost a quarter century. Wow. Christopher Cross, Don Felder from the Eagles. Currently, I've been associated with the guys in Ambrosia. I added up, it's almost 36 years now. So wow. I've been filling in on keyboards with those guys and singing co-lead vocals. So yeah, I've made some 88 countries, performed in all 50 states. So that's the great perk of the job, is getting to do all that. So
which instrument have you not played for Ambrosia yet? I've seen you on drums.
Trombone. No, just kidding.
Trombone.
I've actually played them all. At some point or another, I've played them all, from guitar, drums.
I wonder if there's a cover band called Trumbrosia.
It needs to be.
There is now that you said it.
Right, there will be.
There, yeah.
Trumbrosia.com. Somebody go buy that domain. Danny points out I've got two musicians joining us right now, because, I mean, Steve, tell everybody what instrument you play. Have we ever talked about that here on the Friday Live?
Well, I'm officially a retired musician now, so
what does that mean?
Well,
no.
Yeah.
It means he's not making a paycheck playing music.
Right. Yeah, I have my last paycheck playing music was December 8th of 23. So it's been over a year now, and it's okay. I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing, and
okay.
My creative expressions coming out a little bit differently, but
but the world's greatest Steve Bowie impersonator.
Steve Bowie,
yeah.
So I just my own.
I mean, did I say Steve? I said Steve Bowie instead of David Bowie. Look, you are so him.
Yeah,
that it's now absorbed into my brain. Yeah. Okay, you are.
No, I read an incredible article today that was sent to me by one of my Hollywood buddies, and there's a guy who out of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, who is a major collector of lost music. Like he buys 3-inch tapes. Shim knows what I'm talking about. Or 2-inch tapes. He buys reels and stuff, and he buys them by the bulk. So there was this fire sale in Philadelphia that he bought these all these reels from, and he didn't know that it was in this until he started going through all of them. It was like thousands of reels that he was going through, and he found all of the rehearsal and songwriting reels that were recorded live in the studio for David Bowie's Young Americans album, which Luther Vandross was the vocal arranger for that album. And it's incredible. So this guy paid $3,000 for thousands of reels. All right. And this gold mine was in the middle of all of this. Wow. Didn't know he had it till then, but you'll appreciate this, Shim. He can't sell it. He owns the reel, but he doesn't own the content of what's on those. He doesn't own the publishing. He doesn't own the songwriting. Yeah. There's nothing he can do about it. And in fact, as the article points out, Bowie's estate or the publishers or whatever record company could actually come to him and demand he hand it over. They haven't done that yet, but it's a hell of a fascinating story.
Can he even put them on YouTube for the rest of us to enjoy?
You publish them. He can't publish them.
Yeah. Dang.
He doesn't own the rights to them, but
Content is owned by the estate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So knowing how big of a fan of his you are, Steve, but not knowing you when I learned this fact, you just shook this memory out here. Next time you're in Dallas, I need to take you over. The way the parking lot is, you know how the Blaze Studio is here. Across the way is the History Museum that Glenn set up. But over
Right.
to the left is the Mercury One building where the staff for Mercury One works.
Right.
Well, buried back in there are these old studios. And David Bowie recorded, I don't know if it was a whole album or something. There's some sessions, something. I need to look into this, but recorded right there in our parking lot in this building.
Yeah, I had heard about that. I didn't realize it was in that building, but I had heard that he had done some work in Dallas because in that process he had done some work with some of the Shreveport, my hometown, some of the session guys from there, which are also a lot of the guys out of Muscle Shoals, same, back and forth. Shim, Joe Osborne, he's a Shreveport guy.
Shreveport.
Yeah, of course he made his bones in LA, but
Yeah.
lot of crossover there, and I can't believe that.
Small world.
I didn't know that. Now I'm going to have to go over and visit the studio.
I'll take you back there, man. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
man, I'm excited.
So, we got some breaking news today before we went live here. And one of the things that came across was that the Supreme Court has upheld the ban on TikTok. So it will be banned in the U.S. unless it gets sold to a U.S. American owner. But Biden has said he's not going to enforce it. He's going to leave that for Trump. So my understanding as of this hour, and Trump said, stay tuned. So I think we're just waiting to see what Trump wants to do next week. So my understanding, and please update me, y'all, if you have more up-to-date news than me, this thing is still out. Like TikTok's going to exist until Trump decides what he wants to do with that ruling, right? Is that, or am I wrong?
So unless a U.S. person buys it, they're going to have, they'll have then control over the servers. But does that mean the Chinese are still not going to have control over it? So it's a mess. If you're going to get ownership, how are you going to do that? What's the cut from the reason it's controversial to begin with? What's the cut from the current owners to whoever is going to purchase it and operate it?
There is so much to shake out here. I'm just I'm shame on me for not catching up here before we went on. And again, maybe the comments y'all can check this, but
That's the term breaking news.
Breaking news.
Well, let me tell you. Here's my only take.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah.
I hate TikTok. And
I don't have it.
I don't use it. I do not have the app on any of my devices and never will.
Yeah, me either.
But it scares me to death when the Supreme Court rules 9-0 on anything. So I know a lot of people think that that's a bipartisan thing. We should all be happy about it. But no, that scares me. So my libertarian genes, they don't like the idea of us regulating anything or banning anything, especially banning a speech platform, as much as I despise it myself. So I don't care. You guys do with TikTok whatever you want to do with TikTok, and
I feel like our society's going to collapse in on itself if you take away their TikTok drug. That's what's gonna happen. All right. Yes, and so it's gonna be interesting to see what all happens next week. Can I see? Shim's been messing around here because I was telling you there are all these bells and whistles on this new streaming service. It looks like Shim has discovered the background feature, which I was not familiar with until you stumbled upon it there.
I'm coming to you from Mar-a-Lago.
I see.
So
that's a nice setup you got there.
Nice little, yeah.
And you're in Phoenix, right?
I am.
Okay.
I
And
am.
Steve, where are you at? You're in Raleigh?
yeah, for today anyway.
Home of the Connells, the most underrated band of all time. All right, what else we got? Oh, they're moving the inauguration indoors because it's so cold. I don't care what the reasoning is for moving it indoors. I'm glad it's in there for just his own safety. Honestly, I would rather sit indoors anyhow.
Yeah, more controlled environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can secure that much easier.
But Steve's up there for the inauguration. I bet he's Thrilled that it's no longer outside in the
Oh,
bone-chilling cold and wind.
When I looked at what the weather was going to be, and it's getting worse than what it was projected a few days ago, I was glad to hear that it was moved indoors. And, immediately, I'm telling you, within minutes of the announcement that it was going to be moved indoors, the conspiracy people started jumping all over it. And I'm like, guys, this is not without precedent. They did it 40 years ago. Right. Reagan's second inauguration was moved inside because of the weather. Washington just happens to be one of those. It's in that temperate zone where you can get really, really cold weather, or it could be 70 degrees on inauguration day.
See, I'm from Phoenix. I just want to be cold all the time. I just want it to. So, isn't it part of the experience? The inauguration is freezing. I mean, if you read Bill O'Reilly's book about the confronting the president, it talks about Bill's way into weather. Okay, he's way into the weather. Currently, historically, he just is all about hot or cold. So every inauguration, he always has to talk about the temperature of the weather in the book. It's like, so that's like part of the experience. It's cold at the inauguration. It's just what it is.
Was he ever a weatherman?
I don't think he ever did the weather.
Wow, because I could see him doing the weather.
We'll do it live.
Right, exactly.
Here comes the cold front. Okay. It's going to be interesting. I'm grateful that it's indoors, period. And I know you are too. So
I'm just wondering how many people are going to be pissed off because so there's like, and people will have to forgive me if I have these numbers wrong, but there's something like 250,000 event passes that have been applied for and given out. All right. The rotunda is small. It looks big, but it's small. Right. You're talking about basically the VIP stage, the people that are on the stage with the president. That's about all that will be in there, plus the press pool, the approved, because the cameras will be a pool feed for all of the networks. And so, a handful of photographers and a couple of journalists, everybody else is going to be getting their feed from the media room for the journalists. And then there's going to be a lot of people that, even though it was going to be that cold, are going to be disappointed that they didn't get to witness this live, unless they're just planning on putting up, jumbotrons outside or something like that. Which
where do you go to order a jumbotron last minute?
In DC. Yeah. You can get them anywhere. I mean, they're on. There's vendors on every other corner.
and Danny makes a great point. I knew this occurred. I just didn't know there was video available. But apparently Benny Johnson dropped the video yesterday of the guys with the machete and the knives trying to get at Trump at the Capitol for Carter's thing. So, all right, there you go. One last piece of news here on Donald Trump. He has appointed Mel Gibson, Sylvester Stallone, and John Voight as his ambassadors in Hollywood. One of the things that he said that I don't know, I don't understand what these roles are going to be for these gentlemen, but he wants them to be his eyes and ears in Hollywood. Okay. Maybe. Look, if it serves as a pipeline, right, a direct line, I should say, for Hollywood, maybe an olive branch type thing, I could see that. Hey, let's keep the lines of communication open. But this eyes and ears thing, that maybe it's just the phraseology there, but it's a little concerning just on its surface. But who knows? Maybe we'll see a better relationship between Donald Trump and the Hollywood. Well, that's not happening. What am I saying? Listen to what you're saying, Keith. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what this actually is. But I don't know.
I want to hear what Shim has to say about it, because he spent more time in Hollywood than any of the other two of us.
Well, it's the studio execs, right? It's the people that they're allowing to even take a look at the scripts that are happening. So, and it's just you've got three, iconic Hollywood guys that I think it's just talk at this point. What can they actually do? That was to Keith's point. What can these three guys actually do? Eyes and ears of what? To whom? They're not going to be in the back room, when the meetings are happening and the decisions are being made. So I think the olive branch theory makes the most sense, because you can't keep people from feeling the way they feel And the guy's been vilified so much that it's just part of the popular culture to hate him. So they don't want an olive branch. They don't want him for him to agree with them on anything. Turns off their whole fantasy of hating the guy. It's like that's part of the feel good part is, oh, I just love hating him. Well,
that's where they get their dopamine hits.
It's true.
Seriously,
so they don't want to like him. That's all.
Yeah, there's three main power levels in Hollywood. There's the mogul level. That's the top tier, and that's the Spielberg. Yeah, all of that. That's the moguls, the big directors, the big producers, the studio owners, that sort of thing. Then you have the actor, and we're talking about the Tom Hanks level, the big A-list actor level, and then just below them is the executive level, which as Shim was talking about, the people that get to read the scripts and that sort of thing. The executive level are the people that actually make everything happen. Very, very well-paid level, but nowhere near at the power.
I might flip the two, though. You mentioned the Hollywood, the elite actors as 2. I'd put them at 3, and I put the executive producers still at 2 in that hierarchy.
In that hierarchy?
Yeah, so I might do that.
So the point being is that Mel is one of those characters that legitimately could inhabit a couple of different spaces. He could inhabit a couple of those levels, and like a Clint Eastwood can, that sort of guy. But I think when the specter of you being my eyes and ears, it sounds more ominous than it is. But there's also, Mel is way into the whole, Hollywood pedo thing. I mean, he believes in it. He testifies to it. He may
rooting it out.
Maybe Trump is signaling something else there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Look at that.
The way my brain works.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh my goodness. It's gonna be interesting to see what comes of this for sure.
We'll have to Shim will have to add the Hollywood pedo level in the hierarchy of the command structure in Hollywood.
All right, so I'm sitting here, guys, and I'm actually I pulled up a picture of my dog Matilda, who is snuggled in her bed, way out of reach over there. But the reason I did that is because I'm feeling really guilty right now. Because what I did is I've been talking about how cold she's been with the weather lately. And so many people suggested that I purchase her almost like it's a heating pad, basically. I don't think I can. I think I can pull it up here, but yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's got enough slack. So it's like this. It's just a heating pad that lays on the floor, and I didn't splurge for the one that's weight activated, so it only comes on when the animal rests on it. I already regret that, because now you have to plug it in every time, and you got to wait, and then you got to go drag her over here and go, look, it's warm. So she started off, I showed it to her after it was warm, and she stood on it for a second. I thought, aha, it didn't take long. But then she said, nah, screw it. And she went over to her bed. So now I'm left with this heating pad, guys, down here on the floor in a cold room. And my feet, I got socks on, but my feet are just on this heating pad. This heating pad's never leaving right here. It's going to stay here forever. She's not getting it back. So anyway, to all of you who recommended the heating pad, my feet, thank you. It's now entrenched in the studio here.
Hey, Shem, by the way, you and I did not talk before we, jumped on Keith's show here, which is Thursday's open mic on Fridays, which I haven't figured out how that works, but I purposely didn't warn you about Keith's ADD. So, that's what we're dealing with here right now.
Yes.
He jumps immediately from hard news stories to dog heating pads on his feet.
I'm limber. I can move around with him.
He can move around.
Yeah.
See, he can roll with it. He's a professional. I'm trying to get that what you were talking about there, the Thursday Friday thing. It was the graphic, right, that I had playing here.
Yeah, the initial graphic. Yeah,
so there it is.
There it is. Thursdays, night, Fridays.
Okay. All right. See, thank you,
I like
Wes. I appreciate you working hard on this. Maybe we will the order of at the mic. Thursdays at the Mike Fridays. Very
Right.
confusing.
Fridays only.
I see. Okay, so let's see. Wait, how do I leave the screen? Why does it make you guys? There we go.
There we go.
Okay. Big football weekend coming up here. We've got 4 NFL playoff games. We're gonna get some snow in the Rams at Eagles game in Philadelphia. What's the other one? Baltimore at Buffalo, Houston at Kansas City. Not in any particular order, by the way, here. And then the other one is Washington at Detroit. So do you guys have who are your final 4 going to be? Do you have any guesses?
Who I want to be or who are going to be?
Who do you think is going to be?
Well, the game to me that's going to be the most fireworks is Bills Ravens.
Yeah.
Because you've got those 2 high-powered offenses. I mean, you can't it's not been seen that Baltimore Raven offense can be stopped with that 1-2 punch of 1-2-3 punch of that passing game, plus you can't defend him. All right. And then you've got the big guy as the running back. He's, Travis, he's just, so it's going to be, Buffalo's going to have to score a lot of points.
Yeah.
I think to compete, it's going to be so. Let's. I mean, as fans, we want a high scoring game, right? So you're being set up for that type of spectacle.
So
on that game.
I honestly have a feeling that the MVP race is going to come down to who wins this game, whether it's Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. So there you go. That's good. Whoever wins this game, that's going to be.
Where's that game?
It's in Buffalo, isn't it?
Buffalo. Yeah.
Oh.
Very, very cold.
It's going to be colder than Baltimore. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. So who do you think is going to win these 4 games? Who are your final 4 going to be?
Shim?
I'm really enjoying Detroit's success because we just haven't seen it in decades, right?
Detroit and Philly, right?
Right. So you've got that. I'd really like to see Detroit do something. I've never been a fan.
Oh yeah, I think everybody.
But I would just I think they're pulling on the heartstrings there. They want that team to do well.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is solid. Philadelphia's a solid team, both sides of the ball. That upgrade with the running game now, Saquon Barkley is just that extra thing. That offense is going to be tough to shut down. So now it's Rams and Philly. Right?
Rams and Philly, yep. Washington and Detroit.
That's going to go to Philly.
Okay, so let's just go through these here, and you guys shout out your winners, okay? Washington at Detroit.
I'm going to say Detroit, but with a player like Daniels, which is kind of it's
he's hedging.
Anything can happen. Anything could happen.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So all right. Let's see.
KC is another team in the playoffs. They get into the playoffs and they just hit that extra gear, and they just they're hard to stop. They just raise their game.
Cool.
So I think the final 4 predicting. Let's say Detroit at home, Kansas City. I have to go with the Ravens just because of that offense, and Philly over Rams.
Steve,
you're wanting my predictions?
Yeah, just give me the final 4. Just the final 4. Just want the 4 winners this weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. So I'll synopsize it this way, because there's not a care in the world that I have about any of these final 8 teams. Not a single shred of loyalty to any of them. I just want to see good football.
Yeah.
I want to see them all come down to the end, the last play of the game.
We only got 1 of those out of the 6 last weekend.
I know, it was ridiculous. And then I'm kind of with Shem in that just in the spirit of the old NFL, I'd like to see the Lions take it all up. Take it all.
It's time.
Yeah. It's time. Absolutely. Everybody should be rooting for that underdog team.
And we can all join together in our disgust. Just because of the dominance of Kansas City.
We
can join together and not be in opposition to them this year.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going for history, right? And trying to get 3 in a row. All right, who's going to win? Just give me the winner. Ohio State, Notre Dame.
As a Michigan guy, it's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say anything about Ohio State in that manner, but man, I might give him an edge.
Yeah, I am only going to go for who I want to win that game, not who I think would. This is another one from I have a real passion about small schools. And Notre Dame, by comparison, you got 100,000 students at Ohio State and you got 5,000 at Notre Dame. I want to see Notre Dame pull it out as one of the old guard.
I'm with you.
NCAA schools.
Okay, yeah. Well, Nebraska, Big
I have
Ten.
I have these weird reasons for why I want teams that I don't care about to win.
Okay, well, as a Nebraska alum, I have to root for our Big Ten brethren, Ohio State, and I think they're going to win 29-20 is my prediction. And keep in mind, America, without Ohio State and Nebraska, there would have been no college football. Well, that's not true.
I do have another reason for my opposition. I do have another reason for my opposition to Ohio State is I lived in Columbus, Ohio for 13 months back in my 20s. I call it the black hole of my life, which I will not get into describing here on this show. Whatever.
Okay.
But, it was a situation where I made a bad mistake for moving based on a job promise. And
one of those.
And
they pull the rug out from under you.
Oh, and they pulled the rug out from underneath me very, very soon. So anyway, it ended up being 13 lost months of my life.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, Coors Light is temporarily changing their name to Monday's Light, I believe is what it's called, right? Monday's Light, yeah, because they say that you won't get a hangover the day after the Super Bowl. So here you go. It's Monday's Light. Stupid.
Is that just a one-day special?
Yeah, I think it's right now. It's out there. You know, it's available for the next.
That's like your That's like your Thursday show on Fridays.
Don't you dare. Okay, so how about we do some not so rapid fire questions as we get to know you guys a little bit better. Steve, we'll start with you. I'm sure the veteran here. Let's see. Is this your third time on? Right?
Yeah, third time.
Okay, cool. Wow.
Wait.
What's wrong?
I did the one from Western North Carolina there at the the helicopter airfield.
You've been on with Brad before.
And I'd been on with Brad one time before. Is that my only two?
I don't know. Let me check the archives.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. So what posters did you have in your room when you were growing up, Steve?
Farrah Fawcett.
Were you trying to chisel your way out of your room? Out of your bedroom?
No.
Like in Shawshank Redemption?
I had
that was who was on the poster in Shawshank Redemption?
Well, there were three, right? It was Helga.
Somebody will help us out. Shawshank Redemption.
What's wrong with me?
Poster on the wall.
Well, Raquel was the last. Raquel Welch was the final one. That's the one who he goes through the. That's the poster that gets ripped down and they discover the hole in the wall.
So I had the classic Farrah Fawcett poster, in the bathing suit with the hair, and that was the classic poster of her. But I also had a satin pillow, when I was in high school of her as well, and that was my pillow. And so I used to get in trouble with the pillow, taking it to church camp every summer. I would take my Farrah Fawcett pillow to church camp. And,
you're corrupting the boys. Rita Hayworth.
Good job there, born genius.
Yes.
She had it. Yeah. Okay. So how about you, Shim?
I didn't have any girls on my wall. I had the Police. I had from the Zenyatta Mandata tour. I had a collage poster of the Police in concert. And the Police were my favorite band when I was a teenager. And I had a Ken O'Brien poster from the Jets.
Oh, Jets quarterback, baby.
And I had a John Elway because John Elway is my favorite football player of all time. So
Wow.
I had a big John Elway poster. So I grew up in both New Jersey and Idaho, which is like, you know,
Opposite
and
ends of the country for sure, both
so the only
culturally
team,
and geographically.
yeah, so the only teams that were on TV consistently in my location in Idaho were the Denver Broncos because they were the home team, even though they're 800 miles away. And then you had the Michigan Wolverines. ABC had their contract. They showed the Wolverines every week, if not 7 games a year. So they became the teams you watched. But my parents, my first memory of the NFL, and I was almost 4 years old, was when the Jets won the Super Bowl against the Colts in Super Bowl III.
Oh,
and
wow.
I just remember my parents going crazy during that game. But the underdog Jets were winning, Namath guaranteed the win, all that stuff. So I became a Jets fan, but then we moved to the Rockies. The exposure to the Broncos made me a Broncos fan. So John Elway was a favorite. Those were the posters in my room that I can remember. I might have had others.
So you had some good teams that you kind of inherited. Unlike me, where you, if you're me, you're born and raised in one spot, and it's Atlanta, Georgia, and you're stuck being a Falcons fan your entire life. And
yeah,
that's really paid off for me. So, okay.
Sorry about Super Bowl 33.
33 was, well, the Broncos lost there, losing to the Broncos, I should say. I want to thank Eugene Robinson for keeping the team up late that night before. Now, the Falcons would have still lost to the Broncos. I'm not saying that, but at least it would have been a bit more competitive if, one of the teams had, slept. If you haven't seen what Eugene Robinson, the team leader, did the night before, he basically got himself a role model award from I think it was the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, FCA. And then on the way back to the hotel with his role model award in his car with him, he decided to pull over and get a little hanky-panky from what turned out to be an undercover police officer in Miami. And of course, when he got back to the hotel and the team all found out, there wasn't much sleeping in the Falcons hotel floor that night before the Super Bowl. Anyway, not making excuses, just saying. So yeah, the Falcons have lost 2 Super Bowls. I'm so proud. Have you ever missed a flight, Shim? And if so, what happened?
Never won, but got close to one. Don Felder is very particular about guys being in time. There's nobody misses a flight or you're gone, right? So I had a connecting flight that was. Don was already not happy at the fact that I lived in Phoenix and wasn't an LA-based musician, and he made the concession for me that I didn't live in LA because he likes everybody to travel together. If we're going to get delayed, we're all going to get delayed. It's not going to be just one guy that's going to ruin the show. So I had a connecting flight through, I'm not sure which airport, but I was delayed on the first flight. So I'm getting to the gate and it's gone, right? Those doors closed. So I said, I have nothing to lose. So I just stood there like this in front of the window, getting the pilot's attention probably for about 6 minutes.
Wow.
Like doing calisthenics. And I said, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to look like a complete idiot. Next thing I know, the doors open and somebody felt sorry for me and said, come on. And because of that and my
gosh,
my terror in making Don Felder upset that I missed the flight, I've never missed a flight.
Wow.
But boy, was I close.
Yeah.
But did I look like an idiot? Oh, I wish there was like security camera footage of that. Because man,
do you really wish that?
The pilots are probably going, let's see how long he does it. Let's just watch it. Let's just see how long he's going to put up this dance. And well, somebody felt sorry for me because I got on.
Steve, how about you, man?
Yeah, I my one big missed flight story. I'm going to see if I can tell the elevator pitch version of it because it's an epic story. I'm actually on tour with a band in Europe, had been in tour with them for 9 months. I was 21 years old. And at the end of the tour, it was the last day of us all being together. And our tour bus was taking us to our individual airports because some of the guys were flying out of, we were in London. Some of the guys were flying out of Gatwick. Some of them were flying out of Heathrow. This was before, computers and cell phones and you could, go online and check your flight status, that sort of thing. So from the travel agency, we had a printout, it was a literal, printout of our itineraries. So so those of us who were flying out first out of Gatwick, the bus went to Gatwick first. We get out of the bus. I go up to the counter, and the lady, it clearly says my flight number, airlines out of Gatwick. It says it right on the printout from the travel agency. And she said, sorry, sir, or, Mr. Baker, this flight leaves from Heathrow. And I went,
what you talking about, Willis?
I said, but it says Gatwick. She goes, I'm sorry, but that flight number flies out of Heathrow.
Oh.
And there was 2 or 3 of us on that same plane. And so we ran back to the bus, and we dove, we were like diving in, and we're in a panic because it's like an hour and a half before that flight, or 2 hours, whatever it was, but it's easily in London traffic over an hour drive from Gatwick to Heathrow. So it's like our bus driver said, hit it. So we're halfway, and we end up having a head-on collision with another bus, and both buses were and got. I mean, by the time we hit face to face, window to window with the other, I remember seeing the other bus driver. I can still see it in my mind's eye to this day. The panic in his face as he's like, ah! And when we hit, the buses were doing about 2 miles an hour each, and like that, they just went bah, like that. But neither one was going anywhere.
Yeah. So
there was a petrol station. I didn't say gas station. Petrol station on the corner.
Well done.
And I jumped out, and I happened to also be the money bags guy. I was like the road accountant for the band at the time. And so I had the money bag, so I had all the cash. And there was a guy in a Datsun pickup truck, and he was filling up his car. He's just standing there filling up his car with petrol. And I ran over to him, and I said, I'll give you 50 pounds if you can get us to Heathrow in 30 minutes. Well, 50 pounds in 1981, that's like a mortgage payment for, for a British person. And he literally dropped the gas, squirt, whatever you call it. Anyway, so he dropped it on the ground, and he picked it up, and he goes, yeah, get in. So 2 of the guys got in the front, or there was 4 of us. 2 of the guys got in the front bench seat with him. 2 of us got in the back, and he just peels out and starts, driving like a madman through London to get us to Heathrow. So we get to Heathrow. Bottom line is, it was a failed attempt. We got there late. So I go up to the counter, and I said, what do we need to do? And she said, well, you can spend the night and take the same flight tomorrow. I said, no, you know what? I said, I've been here for 9 months. I want to go home. She goes, okay, well, the only way I can get you to Shreveport, Louisiana is, she goes, you have to go. So I had a direct from London to Dallas to Shreveport. Right. And so that's what my flight was supposed to be. So this was true. This was what my routing ended up being, just because I wanted to get the hell out of England. I had to go to Boston.
Okay.
Went from Boston to Detroit to Denver, where I spent the night on the floor in the Denver airport, Denver to Dallas, then Dallas to Shreveport. So I ended up 5 cities and spending the night on the floor just to get out of there. But you know what I got to do? I got to eat an American hamburger in Boston that day.
There you go.
It was
worth it. That's worth it.
Yeah.
Where they pump gasoline, not petrol.
Exactly.
I've told this before. I've never missed a flight, but I've told this story before in Las Vegas, where my gate was out of view of the slot machine. That's deadly for me. You get slot machines, and I've got downtime. That's bad. That's bad stuff. So I think I put $20. It was about $20 in a machine or something. I don't know. I think I was up around $300, and I ended up losing it all, or maybe I walked out of there with $5. Total dumbass. And because I was watching, my flight was delayed, and I was watching it on this app, and it just kept saying, it's delayed. And so when I walked away dejected from that slot machine, I just moseyed on over to my gate. Because you got to understand, under normal circumstances, normal airports, I'm the first one at the gate. I'm the nerd freshman in high school who gets to the lunchroom first, you know? Like that's me at the airport. But not this day, not in Vegas. And they were literally closing the door. She goes, "Are you Mr. Malinak?" And I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "Well, we're leaving right now." I'm like, "What the hell?" So the app was wrong. And I did the math in my head. And if I had showed up at the gate 30 minutes ahead, I would have walked out of there with $300. But oh well, whatever. Okay. Do you prefer working on site or remotely, Steve?
That's a fascinating question, because I've been self-employed my entire adult life. You know, my first W-2 wage earner job since high school was working for Blaze Media. I've been self-employed my entire life. So,
oh my goodness.
So most of that, even though I had contracts where I had to be on site, I've been a remote worker. I've worked out of my home for most of my adult life, or in my car, whatever the case may be. So it's been really interesting when I'm in Dallas at Blaze Studios. I can't work there. I cannot. I have to leave.
You like to get out of that building too?
It's not that I don't like being there. I don't mind being there. I can't work there.
I got you.
I leave and I go to the Casa de Monte Cristo cigar bar over on Oak Lawn. That's where I go, and I can write. As soon as I'm set up, I can write there. I cannot write in the Blaze building.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel guilty when you have your computer and we go out and have drinks, and I'm like, wait, you're trying to write a story. I feel like I shouldn't be here, you know? So, all right. How about you? Well, I don't know. Shim, can you, boy, the 2020 had to be a nightmare for musicians, huh? Just in so many ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's everywhere. The entire industry was just shut down, you know, it was gone, you know, with no end in sight of the shutdown at the time. So, and I had just literally been on the road for 10 consecutive years straight, actually longer than that, but the concentration of my work with Kenny Loggins, Don Felder, and then Toto, it was just a nonstop 10 years. And to go from that, where it's just whirlwind travel, to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fortunately, I was getting to the point in my life where I preferred to be home. I preferred to be in home studio, working, composing, doing recording sessions in my home studio. So when that happened, yeah, the industry took a hit in every capacity. But if you ask me, but you asked Steve, do you prefer the remote or on-site thing? 20 years ago, if you'd asked me if I want to be on the road, I'd be like, oh, I want to be on the road, I want to be remote, or, you know, on site. But now I love creating, working, because I'm composing music for film and TV. Wow. So that's, and I'm doing orchestral arrangements for different clients and people there. So I like being home. I love my home. My wife is my world. I like being home. It's just a complete priority shift from where I was as a touring musician out there, you know, doing my thing. I like being home.
But let Keith listen to what Shim said, though. For him, being on site was being on the road.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, so Shim, so how many of since you were working with these, you know, major label Grammy-winning artists for the most part, how often were you just contract, or did any of those guys ever actually put you under a W-2 salary situation?
It's all 1099. It was all
1099.
All in like independent contractors, just like you. They got around some of that stuff with the payroll company. There's a team tours thing. But really, it's all 1099.
Did you ever do any residencies in states where the IRS was there at the end of the night and, you know, picking up their tax at the end of the night?
I've seen those guys floating around, but no, I wasn't involved in anything like that.
Yeah, no, when even going back in the 90s, this was when this really started proliferating. You know, if you played the bigger venues in California, like for instance the theme parks, you know, Knott's Berry Farm, that sort of thing, that whatever your band's gross take was that night, the IRS was there in the room, you know, where you were closing out the
So
books.
the IRS guys and the union guys.
Oh yeah,
The
they're
guys checking your union cards.
collecting right then. Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see here. You guys, let's see who's next. Shim, I think you're up next on recurring dreams. You ever had any of those? And if so, what were they about?
There's never a recurring cast of characters in these dreams, but in my dream, I used to have one that I don't have anymore, but because there's two. I used to have the one where I had never shown up for class the entire semester, and it's the last day of school, and the teacher's like, "You expect to pass this class?" Which is so contrasting to my life because I never missed the class. I was always the good student, always there, and I never played hooky. Wasn't that guy? So why am I having this dream about never showing up to class and getting that look for like? It's always the same. It's always a different classroom, different school, different setting, but it was that theme. The second one is, and I still have this one. In my dream, it's always some sort of action adventure. You know, have to get to this. We're rushing to get to this. I never get to where I'm supposed to go. In my dream, I have to get to somewhere.
But you don't know where that is supposed to be?
And it's supposed to be something, but then the detour goes here, and I never get to where I originally was supposed to get to. It's just, I have it all the time. It's another one of those. Didn't get there. There's an event we're supposed to get on the Atlantic City Boardwalk. I've got to get to over here to this hotel casino, but we never get there. It's just one of many. But yeah,
well,
but no consistent characters or people. It's just it's always random, but the premise is the same.
I've never had a recurring dream, really.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel left out.
No, I have the classic recurring dream. You know, the flying dream where I can fly. I have that all the time. I've had it for decades. I never know when I'm going to get it. My dreams are incredibly vivid. They're very real. I also learned how to control my dreams years ago.
Lucid dreaming.
Yeah, lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
I learned how to be able to take myself out of dreams that in situations I didn't want to be in. And also to get back in when you wake up and get back in.
See, then, I wish I had this power. Hell, I just want to sleep. Never mind the dreaming. We'll figure that out later.
But see, my dreams are so real that I don't know typically that I'm in it until until a dream gets really weird, and then you go, okay, I'm in a dream, so now I can manipulate it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
When you're flying, do you ever get to where you're trying to get to?
Oh,
I never can.
I am not in my dreams. I'm not Superman because I don't have that power, but I can fly. And the weird thing is that in the dream, it's obviously it's mentally initiated. And when I decide to fly, I have to like really in my dream, I have to like, okay, concentrate. And then I can get up and I can start moving. And then slowly you get control of it. And then I get total control
of my cool, man.
Powers. But
that's really cool.
But like Shim's other one, my second most frequent recurring dream is that I'm late for a tee time on the golf course and there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do to get on time. Everything is against me. I've either left my driver, I've left my my shoes, my golf shoes. There's something in that inhibits me from teeing off with my group. And it's always with my group. I'm always late, which is never true in real life. Like you're flying thing. You know, I'm very anal retentive about being on time for flying. I will show up at the airport hours earlier than I have to. And I typically live my life like that anyway, but I cannot for some reason get to my tee time on time.
That's not cool. That's bad.
Yeah.
So do you play catch up? Like do you see him at the green at the first hole and you're like, I'm coming.
No, I can never take the first. I can never take the swing. So I can never take the first swing.
And you know, I said I've never had recurring dreams. That's not true. I've actually had dreams where I'm at a radio station, but it's always it's I don't think it's ever been the same radio station, you know. Sometimes it's been places I've worked. Sometimes it's just a studio I don't recognize. And it's like you turn on the microphone and you know, you can't talk or nothing will play right. So yeah, I've had kind of those. But is it true that you can't die in your dreams? Because it seems like, as I'm thinking that here, I've had falling dreams, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had the long dreams.
But I never hit the ground. I mean, yeah. So you know, is
Okay,
that
all right. You know,
that a
here's
thing?
here's the dream I had last night, and the only way, you know, the only way you can remember dreams, because it's short term memory, very very short term, is you have to, when you wake up out of them, you have to commit them, you have to recommit them to memory while you're awake,
Oh wow.
or you have to write them down. And I taught my kids how to do that: is keep a dream journal at the side of their bed and write down the important ones.
I did that. Yep.
Yeah. And so I think that that's where I trained myself to be able to control dreams, you know, in a lucid dreaming state. But here's the dream I had last night. I was flying to DC on a prop plane. Homeboy does not fly prop planes. I have always been a believer that musicians and planes were never intended to, you know, work together.
Coexist.
And in fact, and Shim will appreciate this. Back when I used to do tour routing and book routing for bands, if even if they were like American Airlines, if they were flying, let's say they were playing in Bumfudge, Illinois, you know, somewhere in the, you know, southern part of Illinois, and so you could fly them into Chicago, and then they would put them on a prop plane to the small town, you know, 3 hours away or whatever. 3-hour drive away. And I would never do it. If the only way they could get to their final destination was on a prop, we rented a van from the closest airport, period. Never put it on a prop. Never did. And I won't do it either. And so last night, my dream was, as I'm flying to DC on a prop plane, whoever it was piloting the plane. I was sitting in the other seat, and he, in my dream, was somebody I knew really well. And on the way, it developed engine problems, ended up losing control of the plane. We were in a steep head first dive into the ground. I looked over at my friend, who I was very close to, and I said to him, out loud, I said, you know, Lord, we commit our souls to your hands. I actually said that in the dream. And then I passed out. And when I awoke, he was driving the plane down the middle of an interstate. He had regained control while I was passed out. And I'm looking at him going, how'd you do that? I mean, we were in a, you know, death, you know, dive to the end. And he won't even answer me. And he's just like, and so when I woke up, I deliberately recommitted the dream to my long-term memory. And the guy that I was very close to in the pilot seat, I have no idea who he is. But in the dream, we were very close.
You're very close.
Awesome. Wow, man.
Yep.
Boy, have you ever tried to get your dreams interpreted, like through Google or some book or anything? Or
Yeah, I've done that a couple times.
yeah. Did you like the message, or were you like, this is bull crap?
No, I mean, I had a very, we'll just say, at times estranged relationship with my own father. And I've dreamed about my father frequently since his passing about a decade ago. And a couple of them have been very, very disturbing dreams. And I've reached out to get, interpretations of them. But,
yeah, my dad doesn't talk in my dreams. It's kind of just like it was when he was alive. So, let's see. What is the grossest thing you've ever eaten at a restaurant? Was alcohol involved? Steve?
oh God. I mean, I'm on record over and over and over again saying the worst food I've ever had in the world is Finland. Finnish food is all time worst. I would rather not eat in Finland than
What is a staple? I can't think of what Finnish food is. Fish?
Yeah, pickled. You know, that's the go-to. But
Dolphin?
I could eat their candy. They had great candy, and that's what I would live off of whenever I was over there.
I love Finland. But I don't remember the food being bad. Maybe it
I
was just
love Finland.
yeah, Finland's one of my favorite countries.
Hated the
But
food.
I don't recall the food being at that level of bad.
Yeah, what
Really?
is
No,
the-
that was my
Yeah, interesting.
most hated delicacy. So if I ever see a Finnish American restaurant, I can promise you I'll never eat there.
So Finnish food traditions. You ready?
No.
Let's see. I mean, this says soups, meatballs, pies, and cheese.
Yeah, it's like bone stuff soup, fish bone soup or something. I mean, it was just
Let's
horrible.
see. Boy, that's some weird looking words here, man.
Look up delicacies.
Delicacies, Finnish delicacies. All right. Salmon soup. Ugh. Blueberry pie, reindeer.
Now I've had reindeer in Finland. It was great. Yeah. So, but that I didn't think of that as Finnish food. I thought of that as just Scandinavian Laplander food.
Sorry, kids, Christmas is canceled. Someone ate all the reindeer. All right. How about you, Shim?
I don't make it a point to eat foods that have the potential to be gross or disgusting.
I'm with you, bro.
So I don't
I'm
allow
with you.
for that. However, there are some. I hate this about myself, but I have this allergic reaction to cucumber. I know you're looking at me like I have three heads. So do I. I don't get it. I want to like it. I just like, but if it's in my food or it's touched my food, I start, it's like awful for me. So
Cucumbers can have a wide range of flavor between, bitter to almost sweet, but it's all cucumber.
We were at sushi, our favorite sushi place last week. And the girl takes our order every time. She goes, "Oh, I know, no cucumber, no cucumber." So, but what happened was the chef switched.
Oh no!
So here comes the what they call the awatuki roll, and which is my wife's favorite, but it had cucumber in it, and I just was like,
"Wait a minute."
Yeah, one of those.
So first of all, that's the way I am with coconut. I can't. Nothing.
Really?
Yeah, nothing. Yeah. But you just said something that maybe this is a contradiction just for me, but I thought you said that you don't even take the risk of something being, this gross thing. And then you said you did the sushi stuff. And it sounds like you did it on a regular basis. And I feel like you don't understand the meaning of gross. And I think raw fish would qualify.
For some reason, that's not gross to me. And this place is exceptional.
Okay.
I love sushi.
Of the world traveled sushi places that I've been to, this place is literally 3 minutes up the road, and it's wonderful. Owned by some great people. Wish I could plug it and everybody could come. It's good. So yeah, raw fish is okay.
So I guess when I found this question, I was originally thinking like I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I'll skip it. But if you guys have a good answer. You like this one? Have you ever sworn an oath, Shim? And I thought something more than like a court date or something like that. I was thinking more along the lines of, I don't know, Boy Scouts maybe, or some government job or something. I don't know. Do you guys have a good response to this you want to share? No pressure. Doesn't have to be a good response.
What was the question?
It was, have you ever sworn an oath? And if so, what was it for?
Oh, there's marriage vows. That's got to be some sort of fall into line of an oath.
Isn't that a vow?
Oath vow.
Is there a difference?
Is that a synonym?
Pretty synonymous, I think. I think
right.
those are some synonymous terms. Marriage oath, marriage vow. I don't know. Okay. An oath. Is pledge also a
hold on a second. And this isn't just me trying to be a smart aleck. This is actually good. A vow is a promise made to a person or a deity, while an oath is a promise made in front of someone or something that's considered sacred.
Legal?
I thought it was sacred. I thought it was going to say government or something.
We're going to say legal, yeah.
Legal, yeah, but it says sacred. Now, government ain't sacred, bro. Anyway, so I don't know, whatever.
Well, but if your marriage is under the eyes of God, right? There's a priest there. It is right. Doesn't it reach that? Doesn't that oath reach the level? Doesn't the vow reach the level of the oath?
Boy, I'm clueless. I don't even know.
It's what I
don't
do.
even know what we're doing here. So anyway, have you ever? So okay, marriage. All right, very good. Steve?
Oath.
Oh.
I can't. I was closest to possibly swearing for the Oath Keepers, but that never happened. That never happened.
Hold on. Do we want to talk about that, or?
Well, ask Steve first about his oath, and maybe we can come back.
Steve, you ever taken an oath?
I don't think I've ever been in a position where I had to do the. Well, I mean, I've had to, I've testified in court before a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I've had to swear, to tell the truth. So you're swearing. Is that an oath?
You're making a vow to the judge, I think it's called.
Pledge, swear, oath, all these synonyms.
Yeah. They're very, very, very similar. I make a very concerted effort to keep all my promises. There's another word that is, of course, synonymous to the rest of them.
Covenant.
Regardless of what it is, the only, in full disclosure, the worst promise, oath, vow I ever broke was marriage. I screwed up. But that was, if I didn't keep a promise of any kind at any time, anywhere, it typically had to be because of a circumstance beyond my control. But apart from, I've never been part of any kind of legal organization. I've never been in the military, never been a law enforcement officer, never held public office other than, student body president when I was, junior high. That was 9th grade, back before they were called middle school.
Did you get your agenda passed?
Yeah. I got, my giant agenda was to, raise $150 for a new flag. I think that was our biggest accomplishment all year.
All right. Good for you, bro.
That was my one campaign promise I kept. But I don't think I've ever been in a position like Shim said, apart from marriage or something like that.
All right. Did you want to talk to us about the Oath Keepers, or we're going to move on from that?
Well, it's.
I don't want to put you on the spot. If you
we can defer to the long form interview that I did with Shem. That's over on Blaze TV, YouTube. He can hear that.
61
it's
minutes
on YouTube?
of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Blaze.
So how could you find? In fact, Steve, why don't you do us a favor? When we're done here today, post that on your Twitter feed at TPC4USA so people can check that out. I bet that's awesome. I need to go.
Yeah, anybody can go to. There's 2 YouTube channels. There's Blaze News Tonight, and you just go to videos and you can scan it or just search for Shem and Steve Baker. Probably just so you don't have to spell his last name. You can just put Steve Baker and Shem Von under.
That's a thing.
News Tonight. And then also on under the regular Blaze TV YouTube channel, and you can find it. It's uploaded twice on YouTube.
I didn't tell you guys I was going to ask you this, but what was your first job, Steve, when you were a kid?
First job where I actually was making money, 11, 12 years old, paperboy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shim?
So the definition of that is like, money is exchanged, right? That's a job. My dad, studio musician in New York, hired me to sing on a commercial for a supermarket that he wrote the song and produced the jingle. So I think I was 10.
Wow.
Does that exist anywhere? Maybe on the internets or something?
I don't think so. If it is, I'll try to find it. But
you know what? Steve
is
a great journalist. He could go and dig this up somewhere. Go investigate.
There was a supermarket in New Jersey called Pathmark. I don't think they're even there anymore.
Wow.
Okay.
Pathmark, and my dad wrote and another one called Wallbaums, and I think the songs interchanged because they were owned by the same corporation.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it was like a gang vocal of kids and family singing this song about summer and all the great ice creams and soda pops and all this stuff is in the jingle. So
Yeah,
we sang that.
Julie is asking you to sing it. You want to sing it for us? You remember the
Oh
song?
my gosh. Leave your car right there in the driveway. Call the neighbors over and have a nice day. It just lists all that was the song.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
But the job that's like a normal job, like Steve said, he was a paper boy. When I was 12, I got hired to be a janitor 2 nights a week at a laundromat.
Ooh.
And they paid me.
You saw some things.
Yeah. And this was like the night shift, right? Up until about 8 o'clock at night. And I just go clean everything. And they would let me keep all the change in the agitators that would fall out of people's thing. That was part of it. It was like a tip. And you get to keep all the change that falls out of there too. So in 1977, that was cool.
I bet. How nice. All right.
But you know why? The only reason why I had a paper route, same thing. It was the small change, because what they would do when you would go pick up your bundles for your neighborhood that you were delivering in, and I'm literally delivering both either on a bicycle or on foot, just like you saw in the old TV shows, and so we'd have to pick up the bundles at the drop-off location, and then we'd have to roll them ourselves. And if it was a rainy day, we had to put them in the plastic bags. And
boy, that took extra time. Did you see the forecast? It's like, I got to get up early the next day.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That was part of the deal.
Yeah.
You had to look at the weather. You had to look out the window and see what what the weather was going to be like. Some days it was really cold, and of course on Sunday the paper was thick, so all the route, it was so heavy that my dad would sometimes take me around in the car, to deliver the Sunday morning papers. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is that they would give you a few extra papers for free. That would be included in your bundle, and you could sell those. So people would inevitably pull up beside you and say, "Hey kid, can I buy a paper?"
Okay.
It was 10 cents. So it was 10 cents for the daily, back in 71, 72, when I was delivering papers. And so I could get, with that extra 10 cents, I always had a little a Dairy Queen that I passed by on foot. And for 10 cents back then, I could get a dipped cone. And that dipped cone every day was my motivation to have a job.
I bet. How cool, man. Yeah.
Yep.
And you grew up in Louisiana, so you had more ice cream days than most of the country.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I ask because there's a job out there. If anybody listening is looking for a new gig, and there you go. It's available right now. It pays $45,000 a year. You drive the Planters Nutmobile around the country to different events and whatnot. I think you do interviews at radio station, TV stations around the country. But in fact, I think you have to organize all of these events that you're a part of for $45,000. Again, 401k is included. You drive the Nutmobile for Planters, and some of the time you're going to have to dress up as Mr. Peanut, I think.
Oh, geez.
I don't know that
that was the deal breaker.
No, Shem, come on. You could wear your headset mic and have the speaker on top. You could be the singing Nutmobile driver.
I'd probably have the headset mic taken away again.
And it would be your first W-2 job with a 401k and everything.
Yeah. Now you have until February 14th to apply, Shem, just so in case you're thinking about it. It's a 26-foot long vehicle. I do want to know that it is shorter than the Wienermobile. And the Wienermobile only pays $35,000. So if the better gig is definitely the Nutmobile, if you're looking.
Did the Wienermobile have maybe something written into the law that they had to be the longest food vehicle?
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did.
Yes. Okay. So I don't. Man, this really pisses me off when it makes my box bigger there. I have got to figure out how to. I don't know. I don't want to say outsmart people. That's not the word here. What I'm getting at is this guy. What I don't understand art. I don't understand why people pay what they do for art. I just don't understand it. It could be that I'm just jealous of people like Hunter Biden, who obviously have a gift and makes millions upon millions of dollars off of his art.
Ah.
But there's this guy here. If I could ever find the picture, I'm stalling here. But he sold a piece of art. I say a piece of art. Here it is. Here it is. He sold this art for $18,300, and that's the art right there. See that? I'm not kidding. It's
abstract art. There you go.
It's nothing.
It's nothing.
It's absolutely nothing.
The essence of nothing.
And this is from a couple years back. I only saw the story recently. And the name of the art that you're looking at there on the right, it's called I Am. And somebody paid $18,300 for that display of absolutely nothing. I don't get it, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not cultured, I guess.
What's the guy, the actor that was in the first Batman movie, the Michael Keaton Batman movie? Wall. The guy, his last name was Wall, and he goes, you know why the rich are so weird? Because they can afford to be.
I guess
that's the light. So if you want that in your house, there it is. Hunter Biden and his art. You know what the art was? It was like a coupon.
It was a coupon to go and hang out with his dad and get favors.
It was just here's a little coupon, and then you get access to the big guy. That's all it was.
Hang on a second.
Great way of putting it.
Shim, hold on. Hold that thought. I just want y'all to know before anybody wants to poo-poo this art that we're looking at. I'm the bad guy here, but because it comes with a certificate of authenticity along with a set of instructions, and the instructions include the piece must be displayed in a private home within a clear, unobstructed space measuring approximately 5 by 5 feet, or else you're doing it wrong. I'm sorry. If I'm paying you $18,000 for absolutely nothing, I will do what I want to do with
No. I just figured out what the art was. The art was his ability to manipulate people.
Right.
That's the artist.
But
that's
some dumbass wrote a check for this.
You're willing to sign an agreement on how you're going to display your own purchase. That's the artistry right there.
I know. But you had said something there, Shem, that I wanted to come back to. And I forgot because, as Steve alluded to earlier, my ADD.
Hunter Biden's art.
Struck harsh there. Hunter Biden's art. Yeah. No. I want Steve to be the tiebreaker.
Oh.
So you said coupon. I say coupon. Steve?
Ooh.
We're making you choose between us.
When they're trying to remove a president, is it called a Q?
Oh, I like it. Okay, you win. I like it.
That's where I go, right? Spelled the same.
Or when you stand in line.
No, but the spelling of coupon and coup, right?
No, it's the reason why I hesitate is because I have both traveled and lived in so many different places. Depending upon where I'm at, I can go either way. I can go coupon or coupon.
I've said it both ways myself.
Yeah.
This came across my feed. I've never seen this. Obviously, it's an old basketball card with Mark Jackson. But do you recognize who's in the background of this?
I gotta blow this up. I
wish I could zoom it in further. If I tell you, you'll recognize them.
Is that the Manning brothers?
No.
Oh yeah, it is.
No.
No, it's not the Manning brothers.
Is it the Menendez brothers?
Yes.
Yes.
Brothers.
Is that not crazy?
That's awesome.
They are in the background.
Now that I'd buy for my wall. For
right.
$18,000. No.
That's a conversation starter right there. Let me see if this shows up.
Especially if the Manning brothers murdered their parents. That would be really a photo.
Okay. Wow. I got dark fast. Did you see that?
Sorry, Archie.
They are such great actors if they never did sports. You know what I mean? Like they're just great just on camera. Oh my gosh, this story breaks my heart, guys. This guy in Britain who, and the way the story goes, this guy's 39 years old. And he has gone to court and he's lost. I think he's done with appeals and everything, but what he's trying to do, he's just trying to get access to like the city dump or whatever the hell it's called over there, the township rubbish lot, whatever the hell it's called. But right now in that, in fact, this story came out on, I don't know, earlier this week. And the price of Bitcoin has gone up substantially since then. Where are we at right now, kids? $105,000. He's got over $750 million in Bitcoin that got thrown away by like his domestic partner or whatever that was cleaning up. I mean, and they won't even let him go and dig around for it because of environmental concern. Bullshit. They're trying to go in there and get it themselves. Is what's going to happen.
So what is it? Is his key? Is it his key?
Yes, his key? Yeah. So exactly what you just said. The key
password,
thing,
the key, or whatever.
Yeah. So I guess it's like the I have to have 24 words to get into my Bitcoin, and so I'm sure that's what we're talking about here, right? But at the time, let's see, how much was it worth back then? Well, regardless, it's in this dump. He knows it's in this dump. I think he has a really good idea roughly where it is in the dump, but they won't let him dig because I've seen this story pop up time and time again over the last several years. And he actually makes a plea to Donald Trump in this. I'm like, bro, he's not going to buy every country. This ain't Greenland. But he goes, I don't know what else to do. Maybe Donald Trump could help make something happen. I would certainly cut Trump in on the deal if he could help. That's what he needs to do. He needs to tell the town, I'll give you half, I mean, I don't know, man. But I hate that.
Seriously, is it really 750 million?
Right. That's what, when this story came out earlier this week, it was. So now, all
right, I'm just going to make my commentary on this.
8,000 Bitcoins, guys. 8,000. So now what is it? Do the math on that. Hold on. I'm going to let you do your pitch there. 105,000 times 8,000 coins, 840 million. Holy crap.
If he has $840 million in Bitcoins and he did not commit his key to memory, I'm sorry. I don't have a lot of compassion for you, dude.
Stop.
That would be the one thing. That would be the one thing that there's no way I could forget.
Wait a minute. Are you Bucky from the Marvel movies?
Yeah, but not only that, there would be backup locations. I would have codes in books. No. I would have code words, names, numbers. There would be no way that I could lose that.
Well, here's what you do. I don't know if I'm looking at the story. I don't know that it's similar. I assume it's similar, but when mine are, they're 24, and then you don't write them in ink. You don't write them in pencil. You chisel them into a piece of metal, and that's what I have. And then you have multiple copies. But you're right. This guy did not plan ahead.
So that means when I break into your house and I find your chiseled metal of your 12 words, I know that's the most valuable thing for me to steal. No way in heck am I doing that.
Are you losing it? Are you? Oh, you're just memorizing it, is what you're saying.
No, you memorize it and you write it in code that nobody could ever associate it as a Bitcoin key.
Yep.
Impossible. Memorize all of these 24 words in a row?
Yeah. No.
No.
Yeah.
Poetry.
Not a chance. I couldn't. I can't.
Shim could do it because he can remember words probably one time through. He can remember, once he's heard a song once, he can play it. He's one of those perfect pitch guys that we all love and hate.
You know what I'm bad at, Steve? I don't memorize lyrics quickly.
I'm bad at lyrics, man.
I don't know what it is. Song, tones, music. I played in Gary Wright's band, in Gary Wright, the Dreamweaver. And I was the bass player, but we were all playing keyboards, right? So I'm playing keyboard bass for him. I did all my learning of the songs on my hikes. I never touched a keyboard, right? So I can do that. But you asked me to learn lyrics to a song, I'm like, I need the cheat sheet. Yeah, it's just that doesn't go in, but the music goes in.
But see, it got really, really bad in my my latter days of my music career. In that, it was easy to justify having the iPads on the stage. I always hated having the music stands, and then as you're brain's getting older and it becomes even harder and harder to remember lyrics. But even I see you pros out there. You guys have you guys have little screens on the floors there. So even though
Toto had somebody running the lyrics on a screen on the front and center.
Oh my gosh.
Loggins didn't. Michael McDonald never did. Toto was the only band I ever worked with that did it. When Loggins was touring with Hall & Oates, Daryl Hall had the ticker going.
Really? But see, both Sting, you like the Police, Sting on his solo tours, watch him. He almost always has a music stand on stage. Mm-hmm. He has a music stand on stage. Bowie used to have a music stand. I watched Bowie on his biggest hits thumbing around. He had like a 3-ring binder on a music stand. And he's thumbing through as he starts the song. He's thumbing through the 3-ring binder to sing "China Girl" or whatever.
He's like the KJP of musicians.
In that regard,
hold on. I'm sorry. I can't let this go.
But he doesn't blink. He doesn't blink when he's lying.
So okay, I got to go back to the Bitcoin key. I'm sorry.
Oh, we can't let it go.
Listen. 1 in 4 Americans own Bitcoin. Okay, so there's a better than average chance here that we got some Bitcoin owners. Anybody want to in the chat just tell us if you have or do not have your 24-word key memorized? Because I would love to know if I'm the only one that just Steve is so disappointed in me, or if he's just if everyone is like
I'm excited now. I'm breaking into your house and finding your metal chiseled
but they're not. It's not with the device. So you can't get into one without the other. I'm just seeing. Anybody? Bueller. No one's gonna help me out. Okay, so
Keith, are you the only one that can see the chats because you're the administrator here?
Oh, really? Oh, shoot.
Are you the only one? Just curious.
I don't know. I don't know.
Just curious.
Because of the new.
No. They're over on YouTube. So they're over on YouTube. But I don't know how you guys could call it up on your screen.
Yeah, just pull it up.
No big deal. I thought it might just be in the program.
I wish you could.
Didn't want to take a detour there. It's just a quick question.
No, I'm good with detours, as you have learned today. Now I'm obsessed with trying to figure out how y'all can see the chat. I guess other than just open up YouTube at the Mike Show. All right, so I don't know what app this was. It's one of these neighborhood apps, but it was very fortuitous because this popped up this morning when I got up, and I thought, you know what? I'm taking this to the boys today. I'm printing this story. I want to see what you think of this. Lady writes, I am pretty disappointed in the person who bought my patio furniture from me this week. Okay, here we go. I posted the items for sale for a price of $50 and was offered much less, which I accepted thinking they wanted the items, and I let it go for dirt cheap. I wanted the items gone, yes, but they acted like it should be cheaper because it was a little worn. Only to find that they reposted it for sale for $60. I could have used the extra money just as much as they could, but I guess it's a lesson learned on my part. Any thoughts on this situation here?
Free market.
Free market, man. I mean, is the person who resold them, if that was their intention, are they a jerk? Absolutely, but that's the free market.
Did they clean him up a little bit, dust him off? Did they try to, to make him look a little more appealing and cozy, comfy? Free market.
How much is that elbow grease now? Apparently worth a lot more.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Steve?
I'm with you. Free market, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Snooze, you lose.
Sucks. Snooze, you lose. Okay,
disappointed is it?
I love that. I love that. Word choice. How about, boy, do I feel like a dumbass? That's what it should have said. Not, I'm disappointed in you, neighbor. Let me. What time are we at here? Oh boy, I haven't even.
I just thought of something I wanted to tell Shem. And it's because this Muscle Shoals hat right here.
Yeah.
So Shim knows there's a whole studio thing that Muscle Shoals is famous for, In fact, it's one of my top 3 music documentaries of all time is the Muscle Shoals documentary. Gosh, would that come out about 10 years ago? Maybe.
I think so.
Well, yeah. And so this is a piece of Toto trivia you may not be aware of.
Oh,
yeah. Here we go. All right. So when Jeff Porcaro died in '92, the original founding drummer of Toto, Modern Drummer magazine did a full issue feature just on Jeff. And about 10 years ago, my kids gave me, they bought it. I don't know where they found it, on eBay or online somewhere, but they found a perfect, pristine copy of that feature of Jeff Porcaro in Modern Drummer. So it was, it was published in August, I want to say August of '92. But anyway, it was sometime after his death, whatever month that was, a couple of months after. And so they gave it to me for my birthday. And so I'm reading through this, and it's packed full of interviews of all the people, the famous session players and touring players that he had had association with, and
Right.
Just accolade after accolade after accolade. And then it had interviews with lesser known people that were really close to him. Well, one of those interviews was Jeff's own drum tech that he had, been with him for, years and years and years. So his drum tech. And one of the questions that the interviewer asked Jeff's drum tech was, was there ever an occasion in any environment, session on the road, playing with somebody he met, or with sitting in with a famous, musical star, that Jeff was ever nervous? And this is exactly what he said. Jeff's drum tech said, he said, the only time I ever saw Jeff nervous, and he said, in fact, it was the entire band, talking about Toto, is they were playing at the University of Birmingham, or the Alabama, whichever university, I think it's University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Yeah.
They're playing there. And he said, backstage, they got word that all the Muscle Shoals cats were going to be there, that all the guys from the session players from Muscle Shoals Sound and Fame and those were the 2 big studios.
Yeah.
And he said, I've never seen the Toto guys ever nervous in my life, except that one night, knowing that guy. And what's really cool about that is that the Muscle Shoals guys, we're not talking about brilliant technicians. These are not virtuoso players like the Toto guys were, but these guys had a groove that nobody else could replicate in the world, and that made them nervous. I always thought that was awesome. A great story.
That is great, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love those little nuggets from history, and that's pretty fun.
I would have never known that little piece of useless trivia, except that my kids gifted me that magazine.
That mag, yeah.
That's cool. I currently have mice or rats or squirrels or raccoon. I don't know what's going on, but I bring that up because I've only started this battle in my house, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing plays out. Because if I'm sitting in a quiet room, I can hear them, or they've been right in here during a live stream before. It's been fun. But in Houston, Texas, at the police evidence room, they have mice, and apparently in the evidence room they keep drugs. So there's been some mice and rats that have been getting high in the police evidence room. They're drug addicted rats, apparently, is what they're calling them in Houston. So anyway, look at that. They got 400,000 pounds of marijuana in storage. They've got bags of cocaine and stuff that they're getting into. Like, listen to how, okay, I have only recently, nearing the age of 50, have only recently come to terms with the fact that I am definitely a pack rat. Like, I'm a hoarder. I won't say a hoarder, because that's another level. I'm definitely a pack rat. I don't throw enough stuff away. Right. But listen to the evidence room in Houston, Texas. where they have homicide notes from 1947 that they still keep. They have kilos of cocaine that I mentioned from the 90s. People have already been sent to prison for this evidence and released from the sentence, and they still store it for who knows what reason. But now they can't get rid of all this stuff very easily because there are EPA rules involved. And it's just like, what is it? Houston? See, earlier when you said how you had that dark stint in Columbus, Ohio,
Yeah.
Columbus, Ohio to Steve Baker is Houston, Texas to Keith Malinak. I mean, this story is so Houston, man. Oh, my God.
Didn't they get a pod storage unit or something or pay for a couple of those? U-Haul?
Thank you.
Self-storage kind of thing?
All right. So first of all, police departments do keep a certain amount of stash of their most illicit drugs, whether it's marijuana, cocaine, heroin, whatever, because they use those in sting operations when they're setting up, buys for stuff like that. In the same way, when they get cash in an arrest, large quantities of cash, they do keep a certain percentage of that. Now they're supposed to keep everything up until, like you said, the trial, and then after the trials happen and appeals are exhausted, that sort of thing, then they're
give it to the rats.
Give it to the rats. But
yeah,
the rats are going to find it anyway, so they're
they'll eat anything.
Oh my gosh, guys, this mouse situation, like. Let me tell you when it came to a head, when it wasn't just in my head that we have mice, is that this is really disgusting. So Carrie's gonna kill me. So anyway, we had this we had right around Christmas time, we had this container, I don't know, about half the size of a piece of paper, just half the size, and in it were these chocolate spoons. Okay. And so you're supposed to take the chocolate spoon, put it in, hot cocoa or coffee or whatever, and then it just kind of dissolves on its own. And yay, now it's all chocolatey, right? So we had a couple of those, but I guess at some point, I don't know, somebody took one out and set it on top of the container, and we roll up on it. One of the children is already out of the house. So it's just the four of us, and we're just like looking at this thing, and it looked like it was like, who did this? Who did this little nibbly thing along the edge of the chocolate spoon? And so we're looking at the kids, and we couldn't tell. We're like, did you eat this? Did you do this? No. And so we're all four standing there looking at each other like, dear God, none of us nibbled on this chocolate damn spoon. and so we were thinking, could a mouse climb up the side of this thing? We've never seen a mouse. I won't say since then I've heard the mouse or whatever it was up here. But anyway, it's the curious case of the chocolate spoon that all of us had seen, but nobody just knew it until we were all together. So not only is there clearly a mouse in the kitchen, dear God, but it's climbing up onto like the little coffee area. It's disconcerting.
There's a will, there's a way with those things, man.
So I've been trying to catch this gal, and had no luck. And I go down there because shortly after we realized, dear God, an animal ate that spoon. I was sitting at the kitchen table all alone in the house one morning, and then I hear this little scratchy scratch underneath the kitchen sink.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dear God, there's no more question of who ate the chocolate spoon. So now I've been trying to catch this damn thing for a week.
1-800-PET-HELL.
Yeah. No luck. Okay.
That's the only way you're going to do it. You got to call somebody. They got to come out and they got to do their
But I'm too cheap, Shim.
Steve's on Jack Black thing, from Saving Silverman. He's a pest exterminator. Yeah.
Has that movie been out for 20 years?
Yes.
If not, then I haven't seen it. It has to be out for 20 years.
Steve's on Jack Black, Amanda Pete.
Okay.
It's the dumbest movie.
I got a movie question for you.
Oh,
So
sorry.
I put this out there yesterday when because
The funny video to pause.
David Lynch
Sorry.
died. Well, Bob Uecker died yesterday. David Lynch died yesterday.
Yep.
So
Yep.
which I've only got time before I have to go back to DC to watch like maybe 2 Lynch films before I go. Which 2 Lynch films would you watch between now and if you have to leave Sunday morning?
Why do you have to? Or is it just a choice?
It's kind of a cultural thing I do when somebody that I respect, an artist, a movie guy, an actor, a musician, like for instance, I'm trying to think of oh my God, when I can't believe Beck, guitarist, Jeff Beck died. I went into a Jeff Beck coma for days. That's all I would listen to, and so I'm thinking that I only have time for a couple of David Lynch films before I hit the road Sunday morning. Which 2 would you watch,
Keith?
I don't know.
You're not a
no.
Lynch
I don't.
fan?
I'd have to look at the list of movies to know which ones. I know he was Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
But I don't know what movies. What movies did he direct?
Elephant Man, Eraserhead,
Dune.
Mulholland Drive,
Original Dune, right?
Blue Velvet. Yeah, the original Dune.
Oh, that's what you got to watch. I know you're a big Dune fan, Steve.
Yeah, but I've seen that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I
People don't realize that The Elephant Man was a Brooks film. He directed it. Lynch directed it, but Mel Brooks was the EP on that.
Really?
That's a Brooks film. So was The Fly with Jeff Goldblum. They are Brooks films. And he didn't want his name associated with either film, except at the very bottom it says Brooks Films at the bottom, because the comic genius that he is, he didn't want there to be any kind of, is this a comedy or anything? So he didn't want his name attached to it in any way. But those 2 films are Brooks films.
Guess who played the starring role, Elephant Man, on Broadway, 1980-81?
Well, there was David Bowie, Mark Hamill, and who was the third? But those 2 were the guys that shared the bill.
Yeah, obviously I know because of Bowie having played that role.
I just went through his.
When I was saying Brooks films, I meant Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks,
right? I know that's what makes.
Yeah, okay.
I went through his filmography and I went through his TV stuff, and other than Twin Peaks, everything you're talking about, I'm completely oblivious to. And this poor girl has been stuck in this position, acting like a beagle for the last 10 minutes. So I would like to play for you. Veterinarians impersonate their patients, the dogs that come through here. I can't believe we're just now getting to animal videos. This doesn't even count as an animal video, but I thought this was kind of humorous here. That's how But the mask, Saint Bernard. Oh, she's just drooling. Oh, Saint Bernard. What is a boxer? It's a husky. Aussie. Yeah.
Hyperactive.
It's kind of funny. Pit bull. Oh, that's how they act in the vet, I guess. What is this one? Oh, a pug. A pug. Poodle. That's funny.
Yeah, perfect posture.
Boston Terrier. That's funny stuff right there. So, no. Bye, TikTok. We hardly knew ye.
So was that people that was this like training video, or are they just reenacting from their experience with the breeds, or were they actually identifying as those animals?
That's probably done
right anymore, bro.
That was probably done right before the Christmas break. They're just having some fun.
Yeah, or any day. I mean, the nurses apparently, if you recall, had all sorts of problems happening in the hospitals, but they had time to make videos like that. But I digress. Let's see here. I'm trying to find what am I looking for here? Let me find this kid. Okay, because I can identify with this kid where you get you're so in the zone. Like, first of all, this kid's doing a selfie. I could just see. I can see this happening to me. Watch this. He's taking the picture, and then he's done taking the picture, so he wants to throw the fish back. Whoa!
Oops.
Oh no!
No.
So he's about to put the fish in his pocket, and that phone went for a swim. I just think,
Yeah.
He
and it
didn't
took
have-
his brain
his-
a while to figure that out.
his phone screen wasn't in mirror mode. So he got the wrong. He
You
had
got the wrong hand. I've
Uh,
done similar.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't realize that that rabbits can swim. Like, it's something you never really
Yes.
think about. Yeah, I know. Right? It's just kind of because if you read the comments on this video, it's like, oh my gosh, I was today years old and discovered that rabbits can swim. And so there was a lot of enjoyment of this particular video because the rabbit absolutely did go for a swim. Eventually, there we go. You just have to take my word for it. The rabbit swims, y'all. I don't know why it's
Well, rats swim, and rabbit's a rat, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe we have a
Isn't it?
rabbit in our house.
Well, they have to when they need to, right? So it's just survival. When it's gotta go, you gotta go.
You got to go, right? So that reminded me, and since Jimmy Carter was just laid to rest recently, it reminded me of the story. Tell me if you're familiar with the story when Jimmy Carter was out fishing, and he was in a boat, and all of a sudden, this are y'all familiar with the story of Jimmy Carter and the crazy rabbit? No.
No.
So that's Jimmy Carter there, and splashing toward a rabbit because the rabbit was trying to get away from a predator. Apparently, Jimmy Carter never saw the predator, but apparently this rabbit was like, "Oh my gosh, there's a kindly old gentleman in a boat. Let me go over there." And so the way Jimmy Carter told the story to his staff is that it was like, it just seemed like this crazy rabbit, and it was, probably out of breath or whatever. It's trying to
Rabid
survive.
rabbit.
Right. And so, in fact, let me see if I can find, let me show you a closer picture because it's definitely out there. You see it off to the right?
Yeah.
Okay, you can see it. Okay. I know that the camera's kind of small there. Here we go. There's a zoomed up version. Anyway.
Well,
And so the poor rabbit, had to find another means of escape, and apparently, I think it did, the way Carter told the story. But anyway, that's just what I thought of. That's just what I thought of when I saw the rabbit swimming video, and I wonder, was that the inspiration? Maybe came out. When did Monty Python and the Holy Grail? When did that come out?
early 70s, like
75.
70.
Before. Okay, so before Carter was president.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Yeah, 75. You're right. Okay. Well, all right. Never mind. There goes my theory. But anyway, I thought that was just kind of interesting there. Jimmy Carter and the rabbit. If you haven't heard that story, look it up because it didn't come
No,
out
I've
at
never-
the time. Someone on his staff, he had told his staff after this trip, and they related to the press and turned it into this. Jimmy Carter was almost eaten by a killer rabbit on the lake. So.
Well, there are gators in Georgia, so I would imagine that a rabbit would have to try to evade the
Flee.
gators one. Yeah, that would be the plan.
Honestly, I'm starting to think I don't have any rodents or any like rats or mice. I bet it's Zeeley's rabbit Timmy. Probably when we leave, he probably gets out of his cage, goes downstairs, and eats chocolate spoons. See, mystery solved. The killer is in the house. Do you guys collect anything? Have you ever collected anything? You got a collection?
I do. I have a Wagner opera recording collection.
Wow, what?
Whoa! How's
Yeah.
that happen?
The first music I can ever remember hearing as a kid was my dad playing the composer Richard Wagner's operas in the house. So that just became music to me. That was the pinnacle of what
Wow.
music was and should be. So when the CD format came out, I just went on a tear. And this is when I had, I wasn't making anything as a musician at the time. And I would save up because these are 4-disc sets, so it's $60, right? Average price on these things. But I'd go over to Tower Records or any, those big record stores, go to the classical section and just, okay, I can spend money on one. Which one is it going to be? And I have a whole like bookshelf of.
Wow.
Now, is it only Wagner operas, or do you collect all things Wagner? So just the operas.
The operas. But that was what he was known for. He wasn't a big symphonic composer. Like there's not the Wagner's Ninth Symphony. So
but so do you collect them under different symphonies playing them? Is that what it?
Yes. In other words, like there's the opera Tristan and Isolde, for example. I probably have 28 recordings of just that opera.
Wow.
Huh.
How much variance in the interpretation is there between the 28?
There's all kinds of differences. First of all, it's a different conductor each time, so there's a little adjustment in tempi, right? You got a different cast of singers singing these different roles. Their interpretation is different. Recording quality, even if they're studio recordings, they're still recorded and engineered differently. Like you can hear woodwinds better in a certain recording than you can hear in another one. Some of them are old from the 30s mono recordings where it's the fidelity's pretty, not great, but it's great to listen to. You can hear the singers, how they sounded a certain way back then. And then the style got a little different. And so, and if you know the music well, which I've been, familiar with my whole life, it's really fun to listen to those different interpretations and all those aspects.
See, that's one of the things that has fascinated me most about when you're talking about composers that were putting this stuff out before. Well, so this goes back to the 30s. When did Wagner? What was his heyday?
He lived from 1813 to 1883.
Okay, all right. So obviously he was composing, and people were performing his music prior to the ability to record it.
Yes.
And that always fascinates me, particularly when you go from that era, even going back further. What did it really sound like?
Right. I've thought that so many times, man.
Yeah.
Huh.
And especially being a trumpet player, when you had, these Handel pieces, or these, the Brandenburg Concerto by Bach, where you had these piccolo trumpets now that we play now on instruments that have 4 valves, and they're modern, in terms, still very, very difficult pieces to play. Very, very few people willing to put in the time to learn how to play these pieces. But back then they were playing on instruments that didn't have valves.
Right.
They had to do it all with
the embouchure.
Just this.
Do you think it sounded as good, better?
It's notated music. They had to have been playing it.
Play it.
Yeah. I just can't imagine.
Art thrives on restriction. When you can't do something, it just makes you try harder, or it's more difficult to do something or achieve something. It's why I like the old effects in the original Star Wars movies, not the remade CG stuff.
Right.
Because they had to use popsicle sticks and glue them together and get egg cartons and create the Death Star surface. With that, they had to do it. So art thrives on restrictions. It's why it's restricted to the medium. Like words on a page don't have sound, so the author has to reach you with the painted word. Paintings don't move, but if you've got a landscape with a waterfall and everything, you have to put motion in the still shot, or the still of that. So it forces you.
Yes.
To the restriction forces you to make it better. So when you're talking about those old guys who didn't have valves, like you say, Steve, they were forced to do it. Their playing ability probably way better than the guys today. Not to take anything away from the guys today, because the restriction in the art forced it to be so.
Right.
So I'm always humbled by the previous generation. I think the folly of mankind is when we think that we're smarter than the previous generation is when we fail. Yeah. We have to have respect for what was then, because without what was then, we're nothing.
So I've told you, Shem, I've told you about my friend, that executive in charge of music for a couple of studios. That's as far as I'll talk about him, because he doesn't like to be public at all. But
I know who you mean.
Yeah, but he this was 15 years ago. He started emailing me from the control room. They were re-recording Fantasia.
Oh,
They had remastered the movie, the visuals of it. They had redone the visuals, but they still had the old soundtrack in mono, and so they were re-recording Fantasia. And so he's emailing me in real time, because he's the exec in charge that had to hire all the musicians and, put the whole project together. And so of course, my first question is who's on lead trumpet? He said, Rick Baptiste. and then I said, so what's going on? He said, well, some of the cuts, he said, like the longest one, it's 45 straight minutes. And he said, it's just pure terror in the room. And I said, and again, I'm drilling him with questions in real time as it's happening in the studio. And this is the point I'm getting to, is something you said. He said, he said, those of us in the control room, the, producers, engineers, he said, we're looking at this and watching this happen in real time. And we're wondering if this will ever be able to be done again with the next generation of musicians that follow, because nobody today has to go through the gauntlet that those guys had to go through to become at that level.
Yeah.
Where they could just look, because there's no rehearsal. They're reading the most difficult music ever written down. They're reading it. And he said there's like paper. He said they finish a page and it just goes straight to the floor. When they're finished, it's the entire floor is just a room full of paper
shower.
Yeah. And so I said okay. And I said okay. And I typed his name and I said, okay, just tell me that you heard Rick Baptiste make one mistake. And he goes, no.
But see, the standard of what made you excellent back then was delivering it professionally.
Yeah.
Now you get people in their bedrooms with a guitar playing some great stuff, but they're not out executing it for it to be published or for it to be, part of we archive everything because it's posted, right? But you're actually, are you? If you got 60 guys in a room doing an orchestra session, right? If one guy messes up, it blows the whole take.
Right.
So the level of demand is that much higher than a person just showing how great they are in a bedroom with a cell phone cam. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference that with people that don't have the concept of what happened prior and the level of musicianship and artistry that was before. It's a whole other world. And that the story you told, Steve, is a perfect example.
Yeah.
And as I said, they don't have the gauntlet. So for instance, the guys like Rick Baptiste, who for over 30 years was the principal guy on all the Hollywood movie sessions. I mean, he actually was the contractor for the brass section. And then you have, the other guys that were more known for the pop music. But like Baptiste and those guys back in the 60s, and even into the 70s, they would go through the circus circuit. So they'd spend a couple of years playing 8-10 hours a day in the circus on a road show.
Oh my gosh.
And they would develop chops of steel.
Yeah. From
just that. Mm-hmm. And then they would get into the big bands and they would be touring with the big bands, as young kids or late teens, early 20s. And so they're developing skills and discipline those circuits, they don't exist anymore.
No.
You don't go to a circus and see the live band anymore.
It's gone.
With trumpet players that have been playing for 8 hours a day and still have chops to keep going.
Never to be seen again. That's gone.
So Steve, what about you? I mean, that's fascinating stuff right there. Do you collect anything? Do you have a collection that you're proud of, or?
I'm trying to. Oh yeah. No, I got one collection I can talk about. No, no. I actually collect. And I haven't for several years because actually since COVID, everything about my life changed drastically. But for a very multi-decade time period, I was collecting the works of Frank Herbert, who was the author of Dune. And so all of his books, because, Dune's not the only thing he ever wrote. He wrote dozens of books. And that's why I asked him about whether he collected them from different symphonies, but I collect them in different languages, different covers, so multiple copies of books, but different editions,
right?
Editions. Yep. And so I had quite a growing collection of that until just one day it just like stopped. And I would like to pick it up and add to that again, but see now the market's flooded because of the with the new Dune movies that are coming out. Now there's a Dune TV show. There's so much new stuff, and I'm not interested in the new stuff. I'm interested in the old stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, if you're a stamp collector, because I know that there's got to be tons of people who do that. Am I right?
Used to be.
Yeah. Well, anyway, look at this. Goodnight Moon. Remember that book when you were a kid? There's going to be a stamp for Goodnight Moon and SpongeBob SquarePants.
No way.
I don't get that. I don't get that. Why is that a stamp?
Well, going back to the NFL, I used to have a insane NFL game,
player card.
I had an insane collection. I had an insane collection of other NFL collectibles when I was a kid. I mean, for me, growing up, even though I grew up in Louisiana, I grew up during the Lombardi era, and the Lombardi era Green Bay Packers were everything to me. They were everything.
Oh no, I know where this story ends.
And I had everything. I've told you about this, haven't I?
Yes.
Yeah. And we when I was 12 years old. In fact, the only reason I'm not a trombone player is I actually was infatuated with the trombone from watching the Lawrence Welk show as a kid. And so my dad bought me a trombone when I was a small kid, and I'd been teaching myself to play it for years on my own, no lessons or anything. And I would play along. But see, my dad collected trumpet records. So, Herb Alpert, Al Hurt, Doc Severinsen, Louis Armstrong, blah, 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 so he collected albums by the great and well-known trumpet players. And I would play along to them and learn to play to them on trombone as a kid. And so we were moving between my 6th and 7th grade year, the summer, and the last truckload of stuff to go was all of the stuff from my bedroom, and it was left in the garage. And by the time they got the U-Haul or the Ryder rental truck, whatever it was back in that day, by the time we got back to the house, the old house, somebody had come in and stole everything. So
the garage was unlocked.
My G.I. Joe collection, my NFL collection, and the most valuable thing I had, which would be the most valuable thing today, was as a child. I'm talking about 6, 7, 8 years old, younger even. My allowance was $1 a week. That's what I got for an allowance. And what I used my allowance for was I would put it in an envelope. I would address it to the Green Bay Packers, and the Green Bay Packers had a program that for $1, they would send you a signed 8x10 glossy of whatever player you wanted. And I had them all the Lombardi era. I had them all. And that got stolen.
Yeah.
I hate that for you, man, because you have told that story, and
that's terrible.
It pisses me off every time I hear it.
But they stole my trombone as well.
Yeah.
And so when school started, I switched because my dad was a self-taught wannabe trumpet player, and he had an old cornet. And so I started my 7th grade year playing cornet instead of trombone.
There you go.
Yeah.
Before we part ways, and I appreciate the time that you've made, guys, and everybody watching, whether on X or on YouTube. Maybe you're catching this later on Rumble. Thank you for your participation in the chat over on YouTube. Before we go, let's play a game of would you... I got to come up with a name for this, guys. You're going to have to help me out. Would you do this? That's not very catchy. Would you do this? Would you... Anyway, so what you're about to see is a long footbridge in China. Okay. And this footbridge is very unique because it is see-through glass, and so you get all the way down.
Nope. I can't even look at it. I can't watch videos like that. I can't watch YouTube.
Really?
I cannot watch YouTube videos of guys, on bikes that are doing those, those on the peaks of mountains or riding. I can't. My fear of heights is so acute.
So
I cannot even look. I can't
you
watch
saying
videos
that,
of it.
if I play again, you're gonna just leave
turn
it
away.
Meltdown.
I close my eyes and turn away. Can't do it.
Oh my God. Oh no. Oh my.
I'm the opposite. I have no fear of heights. I've jumped out of planes.
Right. Okay.
I would totally go over. That'd be a thrill.
Well, think about this.
I've never had a problem looking out of a plane window.
Okay.
But if you go to one of these, high-rise things where you walk out on the glass floor,
yeah,
I everything in me recoils so badly. I have to get away. I get, like I said, just watching a YouTube video of these people doing that kind of stuff, I freak out. My entire insides.
Here's the thing. I would walk across that footbridge. I would. If it were just a normal bridge, you know what I'm saying? But I don't trust glass. I just think of the glass breaking. It's not a fear of heights with me. It's not trusting the glass.
Well, they're not going to use anything. They're not going to use anything that's less than bulletproof glass or something that's just unbreakable or impenetrable. So they'd have to. They're not just going to put your, what's in your Coke glass. Yeah. Well.
So I will
those
be like
engineers
the guy who was hugging the side. I mean, I wouldn't be in a panic mode, but I would just be like, yeah, maybe I'll do this side.
So
Shim, you can walk across the middle, and Steve can just. If
the three of us had to get across, I would have you guys lay on your backs, looking up, and I would just be dragging you by the arms. It's the only way to do it.
That's good.
Something
about the glass, not the heights. I roofed my way through college. I used to be up on a roof every day. I had no problem with the roof. Sometimes we'd be on 3-story roofs, and I'd be working away. We would wear no safety harnesses or gear whatsoever back in those days, and never had a problem with it. Something has happened in my adult life that I now recoil at the very sight of a video of that stuff.
Can you do a roller coaster today?
I don't know. Haven't tried one in a long time.
All right, we're going to Six Flags when you come back.
Oh, God.
All right, cool. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for making time. Have a great weekend. Steve, Shem, appreciate your time. We'll have to do this again sometime for sure.
Wait, can I ask one question real quick?
No, we're out of time. Just kidding. Go ahead.
I want to ask Shem one question because we've texted and messaged back and forth since our interview, but I wanted to see if just have you address how much fallout you've had from your interview with me, because you did speak about something that you had not talked about in 5 years, which was your departure from Toto, and I was wondering how much fallout you've had, or if you've actually had any worth mentioning.
Any fallout that has affected me personally? No. I mean, other than negative comments, but as far as any kind of blowback or any kind of eruption that happened organizationally or anything, to me, not one bit. I've found, of all the sources of where the interview was posted in the general comments, I would say that the feedback was 90% positive.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. So you're going to get people that don't want to hear anything negative about anything. And that wasn't even my intent to be negative, but they'll take it as such. Right. But no, I think it's just it's been all positive, actually, and now it's behind us. It's onward, upward. I didn't cause harm to anyone, and no one's going to feel any effects of anything I did or said. It's just I got to tell my side, which I have the right to do, and I appreciated the vehicle, Steve, that you provided.
So if people haven't seen this interview, Steve is going to post this as soon as we hang up here, post it on his Twitter. So go follow Steve at TPC4USA on X, at Shem Von Shrek. See the spelling there. That's Instagram and X. And so you can go and watch the video, the YouTube link that Steve's about to post. And while you're at YouTube, please like and subscribe for At the Mic. You'll get notified when we go live. We go live every Thursday and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. We do a deep dive on Thursdays. We hang out and have some laughs here on Friday. A week from today, a former At the Mic interviewees, I guess you would say, Ed Bishop, former coworker of mine. I did back when we used to do Life Stories interviews. Ed Bishop from that. And then Ward Clark, a more recent friend of mine, who we did a deep dive on Alaska. He's going to join. Oh, I wonder what the temperature is going to be in Alaska a week from now. That'll be interesting. Probably warmer than us, right? Anyway, so that's next Friday. Next Thursday, Brad Staggs will be joining me for another Barfly episode. Barfly. I don't know how we ended up calling it that, but basically you sit around, drink, and talk conspiracy theories or unexplained things. That's next Thursday. -40. Where are we there? Where's that? Oh my!
That's the coldest town in the world, and I always keep that on my always ready for me. So, like for instance, Monday when I'm freezing my ass off in DC, I can pull this up and I can go, okay, I'm fine. That's in Siberia. I always keep that always on the ready. That one right there.
Nice.
Hold on a second. The coldest temperature ever recorded is 128.6 degrees below Fahrenheit at the Vostok Station, Antarctica. There was Russia had one. It was, I don't know what that was.
Well, Oymyakon is in Russia. It's in Siberia.
Okay, well that keeps you warm.
That keeps me warm.
You see that, you're like,
on Monday, while it's like 15 to 20 in DC, it's going to be -53 in Oymyakon. So
spell Oymyakon.
Yeah.
I see it. Hold on, I found it.
OMY.
Yep.
YAKON.
All right. So, how many people do you think live in this town, Oymyakon?
I have no idea. You're about to tell me though, right?
There's a mayor though.
Yep. I found it. 462 brave souls live there. Okay.
That qualifies as a town.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, everybody. Appreciate all of you. Be safe.